Jazz, welcome back to the Grit.
So happy to be here.
It is
Perpetually happy.
November 18th, 1 week from Thanksgiving.
2 days from my 11th anniversary.
Is it really?
Yep. 11 years.
Before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving?
Before.
Okay.
20th.
What are you going to do?
Well, there was a plan, and then the plan has got whittled to go out to dinner and stay home.
Fair enough. Do you really want to do anything else?
No.
I mean, I love home so much.
Yeah.
That everything else feels like a chore to me.
I wanted to go to Vegas. That's where we got married in Vegas. So I thought, it'd be a good time. I'm always looking for an excuse to go to Vegas.
So you planned that and it got whittled down?
Well, like I kind of was thinking that, and then it's just, everything is crazy right now. Like costs for going anywhere right now are crazy. And we have a bunch of December travels coming up in January.
I didn't realize costs were out of control for stuff like that.
Out of control.
All right, sorry. Got text messages coming through about the baby.
How's the baby going?
Well, they've got their first outing right now.
Ooh.
To an eyelash appointment.
Nice.
Or their first solo outing. Usually I should say duo outing. Normally it's the three of us. So she said it's not off to a good start.
Uh-oh.
He's crying.
Crying in the stroller?
In the car, yeah.
Oh,
car
sweet.
Seat. He doesn't cry. Like, he loves the car. He sleeps through every car ride we've ever had. So, but the fact that she's texting me while driving with a crying baby in the car, shame on you.
Blame her anyway for hey, when I'm there, it's all cool. So
exactly.
I mean, I don't know what you're doing wrong right now, but you're doing something wrong.
I am the one that soothes him.
Yeah.
We woke up to news this morning that Kelly Slater is hanging with our boys at the Florida Surf Film Festival.
Can you believe it? Florida Surf Film Festival kicking off this weekend for an exciting 2-night showing of fabulous surf film, and they get the greatest surfer of all time to come and play golf and go out to dinner.
The greatest humanitarian, environmentalist.
Greatest
looking.
Stop.
Surf, yeah.
Full stop.
Congratulations. Kevin Miller, one of the co-founders, posted an Instagram on the golf course and at dinner with Kelly, which you and I were not alerted to, but we were invited to. So was Kevin trying to set us up for an ultimate confrontation?
No, Kevin is not that kind of guy. What I would imagine would happen, because we were, of course, kindly invited to the Florida Surf Film Festival. If I would have been there, like, not everybody played golf, but for the dinner, I'm sure Kevin's wheels would have been spinning, and he would have just had to come up to me and say, look, man, like, I don't want to do this. He would have done it in a way that would have been chill, but I would definitely not have been invited to the dinner either.
Had you been invited, would you have gone?
For sure.
And would Kelly have gone?
Yes. I think Kelly would have gone and probably just glared at me from the end of the table. I don't think anything would have happened.
I think he would have confronted or said something.
Really? He might have said, why do you do what you do, or something like that. Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh.
Well, he's not going to start grappling with you.
No, might do that too.
I don't think he would. He would, but he wouldn't ignore the problem.
Derek got an email, a DM today from I will say an unnamed surfer, but theoretically could have been a friendly. And Derek DM'd him for an interview about a related matter. And the response was, what the actual F is your problem? And then a long tirade about everything that Beach Grit does wrong and bad to this person, or what they perceived as being wrong and bad.
Holy cow.
Yeah. A tirade.
Is that person actually the butt of jokes ever, or are they just mad about the entire ethos?
I think that not the butt of jokes per se, but
they're named.
Yeah, they're named.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Will you tell me off air?
Yeah.
You know what I'm also dying to know? When Cersei was here, she talked about some tiger parent at the wave pool that was way too aggressive with their kid.
Yes.
I think it was at the wave pool.
Yeah.
Do you know who that parent is?
Yes.
And will you tell me off air?
Yes.
I've got a good guess.
Okay, good.
Because
our poor listeners are just getting left in the dark here.
That's okay.
They can come to album. You know what we need to do? We need to do this show live. And so by the end of the show, they could come here and get the goss.
I agree. They could sit actually around the galley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Galley or gallery?
Gallery.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cersei, I got a number of direct messages this week congratulating her.
Jagger Eaton. It was a big win. Huge win.
So explain. Who is he and what happened?
So this past weekend was Street League Skateboarding's, I can't remember what they call it, something championship. It's like Street League is the WSL for skateboarding. And they do, I think COVID has kind of changed it, but I think this year they had 2 qualifying events to get, and then they have 1 championship. So it is a 1-day banger championship. I think 8 skaters. Jagger was a wild card into Havasu, I think was the contest before, and got 4th and needed to get 4th to qualify for the grand championship final day thing. But he also wasn't high enough, so he had to compete in the qualifying for the grand championship thing. I think got 4th in that, so just made the cut. They take 4 from that, and then 4 are already in it. So just made the cut twice, and then went and won the dang thing.
Insane.
Shut it down, yeah.
Are people, so I'm imagining that would be if Morgan Siblick won finals day at Lowers.
Yes,
almost,
precisely.
which we would be very upset about.
Precisely.
That they've created a format that somebody who gets 4th clearly isn't the best multiple times over and then wins on one day.
The thing is with skateboarding and with Jagger is much more talented than anyone else in the field. He's got, like, it was only a fluke that he was a wild card.
Got it. So the format has failed him.
The format failed him. Yeah. He should have been in already. He was hurt, like, I think the qualifying year or whatever. And then it was COVID. And so, yeah, it was silly. You know, he's the only American to podium at the Olympics in skateboarding. He's the best.
What did he get at the Olympics?
He got bronze.
Bronze. Okay.
Yep.
And the reason your wife got congratulations is she represents him.
She represents Jag, has done since he was 8 years old.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's funny for me to sit on the sidelines because we got married 11 years ago, of course. And so I've been, along for the Jagger Eaton ride. And I remember him as, he might've even been 7 when she signed him, but being able to pluck out a 7 or 8 year old and say, this kid has what it takes to be the greatest or to go all the way at 7 or 8, takes a real eye. And then the amount of work that takes, right? Like, this kid grows up, goes through kid problems. I mean, Jagger spent so much time at our house and he's a great kid, but it's not easy to really follow this journey. And so for the agent to be guiding him, the entire time, all the way up until, and for years and years, Cersei will tell everybody Jagger Eaton is the best. He's the best skateboarder. He will be the best. He is the best, right? And you'll have like brands like, or, whatever, Nigel's the best. People can argue this, that, or the other thing. But to see that talent, to nurture that talent, and then have that talent arrive on stage is, I think, yeah, congrats to her and to Jagger.
It's a big year.
Yeah, big year.
Super big year.
Yep.
How are his parents?
Great.
I know you're not going to say a bad word on there about him, but because that really is, identifying the talent at 8 is one thing.
Yep.
But there's so much can go wrong between then and when they win a world title or whatever it is. And it's a lot of the things that you just mentioned, but parenting is the biggest. I mean,
and his dad, I think, does push him hard. His dad and his mom were separated, but and he has a great relationship with both of them. His dad does push him hard. His dad grew up actually, his dad, so Jagger's grandpa, was a super famous gymnastics coach, Stormy Eaton, which is, I think he's like a legend.
It's a great name.
Yeah, Stormy Eaton, legend in like gymnastics world. And so Jeff, Jagger's dad, grew up in this gymnastics world, like heavy training and stuff, had 2 boys, Jet and Jagger, and they started kicking around on skateboards. And so they had the whole Stormy Eaton gymnastics training facility. So Jeff's just started throwing skateboard stuff in there. And so they basically were trained up like competitive gymnasts, except skateboarding. And yeah, now Jeff has a thing called KTR, Kids That Rip, in Arizona. I think there's 3 or 4 of them, maybe 2 of them, but they're like just these huge facilities it's epic. They have like mini mega ramps in there and, foam pits, and like, it's just for pure fun or for like the greatest training you'd ever want to do.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because the rigor of gymnastics, that's the most extremely rigorous kind of training.
And that's how Jagger is as good as he is that he, Jeff would make him go out and you have to stomp this trick like gymnastics style, like 20 times of this, 20 times of this, 20 times of this, 20 times of this. And you can't fall. And if you fall, you got to start back over. So it's just, it was applying gymnastics.
So does Jagger love the sport?
He does. He totally loves it. But Jagger, I think, was not as accepted in it. You know, skateboarding is dirty and grungy, and they love the, you know, dirtbag in skateboarding. God bless him. And so Jagger kind of coming through this path was definitely not accepted into the party. Like, but kept his head down, and now on pure talent, he's accepted. Like, there's no way to deny what he does. And so, yeah, but he loves it. I mean, it's all he does is skate.
There's examples in surfing where that person becomes too formulaic and it's not as enjoyable to watch from the viewing standpoint.
I mean, so Jagger is, and this is what Cersei's always been barking to, he's the only double threat right now too. So he just won street, but he can also win park. And so he has a real flowy kind of vert style. He can straight transition well, which makes him always fun to watch because he can hit stuff in the park or on the course that other people will shy away from just because he loves skating transition. So theoretically, at the next Olympics, Jags will win Olympic gold in both street and park.
And he's young enough.
Yeah.
Right?
He's got a couple of shots at it.
How old is he?
I think
18?
No, he just turned 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How much of a role did Cersei play in buffering the dad's kind of intense coaching?
Huge role.
Okay.
I mean,
because it could have gone awry, it sounds.
Yep. And moving sort of when Jagger got to the age where dad shouldn't be there as much, where Jagger needs to become his own man. Like Cersei really acts in separating the two and, you know, helping Jeff along too, like understand like, hey, you know, we all got to make Jagger be the best he can be. And so it's time for you to step back and let's put a coach in place and let's put, you know, a mindset guy in place and these kinds of stuff, these kinds of things that, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I could never, ever in a million years do what Cersei does. Like, and zero payoff until, you know, you got to, I mean, what? It's been since he was 8, 20, 21, whatever he is. So like, yeah, 12-ish years, 11 years
of investment.
Well, maybe he's 19. 20. I don't know.
I would think winning that and then winning or bronzing at the Olympics will translate to millions of dollars in revenues.
At some point.
Yeah, hopefully some will find its way into the Smith household.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well. The Wallace Smith household.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
It's huge. Our listeners were really keen on that. Back to the Florida Surf Film Festival. It's taking place this weekend. You and I are jurors.
We are.
So we review all the films.
Watched them all.
Submit our favorites. Oof. Did you really?
Yeah, man. It like caught up with me though, of course. Like in Kevin's email, he says, don't let this catch up. Like, don't let this back up. Get on it now. Of course, I started watching. I mean, I watched a couple and then he hit me in the text, said, hey, you know, just, it's okay. You can be late on your votes. And I was like, oh, I'm late already? He's like, yeah, it's okay, but I'll give you till Wednesday. I was like, oh, how am I late?
Yeah. Son
of a gun.
Thankfully, I had watched some of them through other reasons.
Yep.
You know, like Girls Don't Surf, I'd watched. Yep. The Duke Kahanamoku documentary, I'm interviewing that guy closer to when they released the film. So I think it's March or something. So I had already watched that.
Did you have a clear favorite of all the films?
No.
Really?
I did not. I felt, so the problem, there's two ways to do it. You either space out the viewings.
Yep.
And if I do that, my favorite is always the one I most recently watched.
Yep.
It's a real disservice to the one that you watch first, even especially if it's like 2 months ago.
How in your mind do you compare, let's say, I don't know, hippie vibey kind of single fin stuff versus high performance surfing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I ultimately do know, and there is just good film versus bad film. But when they're both good and they're apples and oranges, then it becomes difficult to compare.
Yep.
For example, how do you compare Ben Gravy's documentary that is all just feel-good, sappy love story about this charming character and his
quest?
Well, his journey through sobriety.
Yep.
And, you know, it was a very feel-good thing with like all bright lights and positivity.
Yeah.
Versus the one in Liberia where there's child soldiers putting down their machine guns and picking up a surfboard. And it's all dark.
Funny enough, I mean, clearly to me, there was no competition between those two, at least.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, the Liberia one is much better. But I will say I was shocked And like for Ben Gravy's doco, I think what's the title of it? It is
Not For the Win, For the Dream.
For the Dream. For the Dream. Chris Cote's voice comes on at the start. To be a pro surfer, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh no, like love Chris, but don't need more Chris right now. More Chris's voice.
Right.
And so I was like, ugh. And I watched and I watched and I was just kept waiting to turn it off and kept watching and kept watching and kept watching. It's a fine documentary.
I watched the whole thing too, beginning to end in one sitting, and it has its flaws.
It's like 80 million years too long for one.
It was a long vlog basically of just his like that relentless positivity and good vibes and happiness, which good for him. And he's found a huge following that loves that, and surfing needs that, or maybe just the world needs that. And so it's great for what it is, but it's sickeningly sweet.
Oh yeah.
It's like
it's
having
a lot.
It's like having,
was it an hour 20? Hour 40?
I'm looking right now.
It's really
94 minutes. So
hour 34. I mean, imagine how.
But it's good.
It is good.
So I was thinking,
really long.
I was thinking for Ben Gravy's fans that want to know more about his backstory, this is perfect. And if they put this on his YouTube channel, people
will
crush. Love it. Yeah,
What do they do? What do they do with it? Is that where it goes? You think?
I have no idea.
Do they tour it?
I would imagine that they would hope to sell it to Netflix or something like that to earn a big paycheck off of it, rather than putting it on the YouTube.
Yeah, for
sure.
And
it'll funnel YouTube views. Anybody who goes on, there's 1 million viewers who will never go on his YouTube, but they might if they found it on Netflix.
Do you think Ben Gravy's fan base is large enough for Netflix or Hulu or HBO to buy this thing?
Sure.
I mean, how many YouTube followers does he have?
I don't know, but ultimately that matters less than if it's a great film. Because if it's a great film, they'll buy it even if that person doesn't have a following.
Sure.
It's not a great film. It's a good version. It's better than the versions of what he does on his vlog. But as a film, it's not gonna earn any documentary awards from film festivals other than maybe surf film festivals.
I don't know about
and
that.
even then it won't.
The problem is
I rated that low on my.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like
But I liked him.
It's totally.
So
it's
that was the
all
thing.
surprising.
That was the thing. As a film, I thought these guys are competent. They did a good job of telling this story, but it's just not a great. I don't know. It's not cinematic. It's not great. A great film. It feels like a YouTube video essentially. But I came to like Ben, which I never really found an appreciation for him before. And I know everybody else loves him, and I thought that was fine. I just personally didn't find an appreciation. Through this, I found an appreciation.
Ben's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was 3 films. I don't know if you noticed this, or there's too many films about Alaska nowadays.
So many films.
It was cool. Like 5 years ago, I was like, man, that's amazing that people are surfing in Alaska. Now it's just oversaturated.
Well, it was crazy. It was the amount, not just of Alaska, but wasn't there another one, like the cold, the Canada one too?
Yeah.
Like the just cold, thick wetsuited, surf film was the flavor du jour.
They did great. Those locations are so beautiful and cinematic that you really would have a hard time coming up with bad imagery from shooting there. These crazy backdrops, snow-capped mountains, foreground with snow, crazy lighting because of where it is on the...
I love those films. I mean, I really enjoyed all of them. You want to know one thing, though, that I thought, after I was done, after I pushed stop on the Ben Gravy one at the end, I haven't been surprised. I wasn't surprised by anything, which I would like to be surprised again. I would like to see a surf film where I thought, like the first time I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater, right? Where I was it rocked my mind so much. The fact that the story arc changed, right? And it wasn't derivative of anything that I'd ever seen before. It was brand new, right? Where all these films, beautiful, well done, loved them. Felt like I'd seen them all before, and I felt like I will see them all again. And I want something new. I don't want someone to copy someone else, like not just in surf film. Like, I don't want somebody to copy a Wes Anderson film and try to do that in surfing or anything. I would like something new.
Great point. I felt the exact same way without thinking about it until you just said it. I felt like in regard to those Alaska ones, to your point, they were lesser versions than a film called The Sea Wolf
Yeah.
by Ben Gulliver, which I think won an award at the Florida
Yeah.
Surf Film Festival 4 or 5 years ago, which was in the North Atlantic. And it was all using the same imagery, but it was a better version. And it was the first that I saw of that kind.
Yep.
You know, and then Chris Burkhardt did one or two, and you're like, oh, okay, here's a second take on that.
Yeah.
And now at this point, it's a fifth and sixth take where the surfing's not quite as good. Ben Gulliver scored his own film, and he's a fantastic musician. So that was, you know, and so I agree with you. Rainbows in the Rear View was Matt Miola, the Albie Layer film.
Yep.
Again, phenomenal. And it is a degree better than what they were doing in the past, but it's the same thing that they were doing.
Totally.
In the past.
I mean, so that was my, let the cat out of the bag here. That was my favorite film.
For the actual surf films, not the documentaries.
Yeah, for the surf film.
Me too.
Rainbow.
I picked that number one.
In the rear view, because not only like, yes, the cinematography was good. Everything was good. The surfing was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Which the other ones, like surfing, it seemed like it had kind of, you know, took a back seat to a story or to, you know, like visuals where, I mean, those guys surf so good. I would love for that crew to, like, I don't know,
just keep doing what they're doing.
do what you do, but shatter the formula a bit. See what you could do, which I know that's probably not their strength, right? But shatter the story arc formula. And, you know, they're clearly not telling a story, but this one they kind of were. Like,
so they used to have, Matt Miola and Albie Layer used to have a vlog series before it was even called a vlog.
Yeah.
And I think it was sponsored by Rockstar.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of that? It was really funny and good.
Yeah. I can't remember what the name was.
They did little skits.
Yeah.
Like sitting by the fireplace, sipping cognac, kind of goofball stuff, but it was really good. And it was short.
Yep. I mean, Travis is not out yet, but I got to sit over the wife's shoulder and watch it. Travis Rice, famous snowboarder, has a new film that's coming out at some point. I hope I can talk about it. I think I can talk about it. Sure. Where Jackson Hole, they take a raft down the river and snowboard off the raft. So they run.
Like they're getting towed along the side?
No, they like paddle down the river in the raft, you know, winter, pull off, hike up whatever they want to shred it. But there's like two of the funniest characters. I mean, Travis has this whole cast of, you know, really, really interesting people, funny people who live in Jackson Hole. And, you know, they're in it. And so there's this funny, you know, like great comedic stuff down, you know, going down the river, excellent action, stuff like that, where, I don't know, it's Dark Matter, Travis Rice, I think is the best action sports film of all time.
Yeah.
Where I wish that surfer, like, it all feels progressive. It's new. I've never seen anything like anyone should watch Dark Matter. It literally is. Have you seen it?
No.
It is mind-blowing.
You've talked about it enough for me to know what it was.
Absolutely mind-blowing. What Kurt Morgan does and how Travis shreds, like it absolutely blows your mind, literally, where I haven't felt that in surfing in a long time.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I thought so the Florida Surf Film Festival breaks the films into documentary category and then just straight up surf film category. What?
I wish they didn't do that, to be honest.
I think it warrants it.
I mean, for sure, but if you're going to break it into that category, then they should break it also into hippie slidey category and high performance category. Like, again, because it's as difficult for me to judge Rainbows in the Rear View versus Alucia.
Yeah, Arc of
Alucia, as it is for me to judge Rainbow in the Rear View versus, you know, Waterman.
Yeah.
The doc.
Yeah.
Like those are as different from each other.
Yeah, I just think it gets so complicated. And then at that point, you could probably fracture it into a bunch of different categories and then everybody wins.
But you could have like at least a heritage category versus a high performance. I mean, it's really, really is hard to.
But it doesn't really matter who wins, I suppose.
I mean,
you're right. It is hard, but who cares? Just it's almost a.
But I think it really matters to the winner, right? I mean, I think that's something that. Yeah. You know, that's what they get. That's what they earn. That's what they're hunting for.
The couple of films, Water Get No Enemy.
Yep.
Which is the one in Liberia, and then Havana Libre, which is in Cuba, about the Cuban surf community. Those both kind of fit the same category for me. And what I thought was interesting about those is how good the filmmaking is.
Yep.
despite having mediocre surfing.
Yep.
So where you have rainbows in the rear view, where the surfing's so insane that it almost like you just get out of the way of the surfing and, you know, that's fine. It was such a compelling documentary because there's these very interesting characters who have gone through these very interesting hardships.
I loved them both. Havana Libre was my surprise favorite of the docos. I loved it. I thought it had real heart. I mean, the amount of care that the people had for like none of it felt manufactured.
No.
Like a lot of I mean, Ben Gravy, not that he felt manufactured, but the opening monologue that Chris gives is like, professional surfing is the hardest thing in the world. You know, like these tropey kind of over exaggerations that we've heard forever about surfing, where it just feels like you're just trying to make it this thing. Where Havana Libre, it just felt there's so much heart in the dang thing.
I agree. So I could see those, Havana Libre or Water Get No Enemy, ending up on a mainstream platform.
Yeah.
Because I think that would have mass appeal.
Yeah.
And the surfing doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't matter if a guy's doing a 360 air.
Yeah.
You know. Well, would you rank Andy Irons and the Radicals?
I thought it was just, I liked it okay. It felt, again, formulaic. I liked who they interviewed. Like, they really went and got great interviews. I thought it was weird to have Coco narrate it. Like, it seemed like just, and I love Coco, but it just seemed a bad fit for the narration. Like, it was always jarring. And I thought, just compared to the other documentaries, it wasn't in the same league as Waterman, and didn't have the heart of either Havana Libre or Water Get No Enemy.
So it didn't make your top three?
No.
I ranked it fourth.
Yeah.
So just barely out of the top three.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, good.
It was great.
Formulaic, great surfing. That's the other thing, is I liked seeing the surfing.
Sure. Great surfing, great interviews. I didn't really learn anything about Andy that I hadn't known before, and it felt like they were just treading the same ground. That's like, he's raw and he surfed so raw, I always wanted to win, and all this kind of stuff. Like, it felt like, why do we need another one of these? Like, it feels like Andy had a feature documentary that this has been done. Like, why are we doing this again?
Yeah. So Florida Surf Film Festival takes place this weekend. Kelly Slater may be in attendance on Saturday, Kevin said.
Ooh.
So anybody that's in the New Smyrna Beach area,
I'm sure that you go online and get tickets today. I'm sure they're, if not sold out, almost sold out.
They have sold out in the past. I don't know how COVID's going to affect them. They've done one event since coming back from COVID, so this will be the second. Tickets are available online in advance or at the door if they don't sell out, but I wouldn't wait till the door. And I think they're only like $10 or something.
Yeah, I think it's 20 or something, 15 or something for 2 nights.
Okay.
It's a good deal.
Our buddy Matt Warshaw's there. Filmmaker Jack Coleman's there. A couple of the other filmmakers are there. And everybody just hangs out and boozes and has a great time.
Great time. Watches surf films.
It's an epic venue that they do it at.
Perfect.
So go check that out. I saw this morning on Stab that Pete Mel has a documentary coming out. Are you aware of that?
No.
I didn't watch the trailer yet, but I'm curious to see that. They said, the headline said something about Pete opens up, does a deep dive about his drug past and all that sort of stuff. So I'm curious to see that.
Love Pete Mel.
Yeah. Which made me think about, and the Andy thing too. I interviewed Thad Zilkowski last week about his book, The Drop.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that?
I remember reading about the book. Is he a professor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was at Yale.
That's it.
Yeah. He's a PhD from Yale in English literature.
Yep.
And he's taught there. He's taught at NYU. He's taught a bunch of places. He's written a number of books. This is somewhat of a memoir, but then like every other chapter ties in famous surfers who have struggled with addiction. And they're all tied together by his exploration of addiction as it relates to surfing. So surfing is got a lot of addictive qualities to it. So he's tying that together, but also tying together how surfing is therapeutic for helping, like a replacement behavior essentially, to help you get over addiction. And he struggled with addiction since he was young. So the memoir parts of it is him kind of unpacking his childhood and the traumas that he went through and why surfing was such a reprieve from him for him from the traumas. And then when he became a teenager, kind of getting introduced to drugs and kind of getting sidetracked by that and indulging in that instead of surfing. ends up in New York, going to school and writing through that whole process and the catharsis of writing and all that sort of stuff. It's fascinating.
Great.
It's fascinating.
The Drop. Is it?
Drop.
It's out. It came out a while ago. Yeah, not a while.
Yeah, 6 months ago or something.
Okay.
But what I found fascinating about it was, well, first of all, he's a great writer, so I just was compelled by the book. But how many of those iconic culture influencing surfers
were addicted?
Yeah, I don't even really. I know that they were. I don't think of them as that way.
Yeah.
Like Hackman. I know that he had a drug problem, but like that's not the first thing I think about when I think of Hackman. I think of Sunset Beach.
Yeah.
And Pete Mel.
Yeah.
Like I knew that about Pete.
But you never really think about it.
Never.
I remember when I first heard that Pete had a meth problem, that it totally shocked me.
Did you hear about it when it was happening or after the fact?
No, after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Pete to me always seemed just like as clean and wholesome as they come.
He does.
And to hear that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bunker Spreckles, I think of him as indulging in vice.
But not a problem.
No.
Yeah.
But it was.
Sure.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And same thing with Andy Irons. It's woven into his identity, I guess, but
you don't think of it first and foremost as a guy who had a drug problem. Even though he was very clearly a guy who had a drug problem.
So much so that it took his life. You know, like it really reading the book gave me a deeper appreciation, I guess is the word, for how much trouble and havoc that reigns in people's lives. Yeah. You know, it's crazy.
I mean, and the amount of surfers too, like.
Well, so really, that's what I was going to ask you about is like, why? Why so many surfers?
I mean, I think
it's so pervasive in surf culture, or is it just surf is reflective of the rest of the culture too?
I think it was more pervasive when I bet this crop coming up now, like the Kalohes and the Griffin Colapintos and this kind of where surfing now is really being treated as sport, you're going to have way less. Like I think when we grew up, so there was a competitive part of surfing, but surfing wasn't considered sport, right? It was still, I feel it was still lifestyle, and it was, that party, like the world tour was a party, right? Like, True. I mean, my early years covering it, it was a wild party, like nobody went to sleep or trained or whatever after their heats. It was a full on banger, where now if I go to a surf event, it's not that way, right? People come and they go and they eat healthy, the surfers. And so, yeah, I think those days are over.
That's absolutely true. And the brands also came from the drug culture, kind of, or didn't come from it, but that was a part of the founders of those brands kind of were in that culture where that was a part of the 70s and the 80s, and that was a part of it. And so it kind of came with them. But once everything became corporate and
couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, you just cannot do it. It's too big of a liability.
Gotcha was not afraid to throw a big old cocaine party.
That's the point.
Back in the day. But there'd be no brands would be willing or able to do that anymore.
So the follow-up question is it less interesting now?
I think
how much credit do we give to drugs?
I mean, that's a great I think
cocaine and surfing, a love story.
It is a love story, man. That was my whole point. It was a love story. I don't know. I think it's certainly
was that sniff intentional.
Yeah. I think it certainly is less interesting. I think it's maybe more interesting as sport. But I don't really watch surfing for only the sporting aspects, right? Like, and so, like if Idolo had a major drug problem, he and, was a rock and roller, he and Gabe's clash would be more interesting, right?
Yeah. You said it's more interesting as sport. I don't know that that's even true, because I just saw I don't even know what it was. Might've been in one of those documentaries, footage of Sonny Garcia and Taylor Knox, like getting out of the water at sunset or Haleiwa or something. And I was like, just seeing that moment of them walking up the beach, I was like, ooh, like what's going to happen? Who's going to throw a punch? What happened in the water?
Yep.
Like the sporting of it was actually more gladiator-like.
When people were unhinged? Yeah, for sure. I mean,
the sporting's become more vanilla too.
Okay. So it's so bring drugs back in. Make surfing great again.
I don't advocate for drug usage, but I think also the drug use today, I think of more as like pharmaceutical drug use.
Yeah.
I guess there is heroin is still a problem. Coke with fentanyl is a big problem, like that's killing people now. So can't overlook that. But I do think, like, when I think about the opioid crisis in relation to prescription drugs, I see that as like a malaise that's sat over everybody.
Yeah.
That's just toned everything down to make it so
mellow,
depressive, bad in all ways. Whereas like that 80s kind of spike of aggression.
Methamphetamine.
It was a
Coke.
Different type of drug experience,
Talking about this, like a surfer who, Dane Reynolds, I think, was never a drug abuser or never had a drug problem, but also had that feeling of being unhinged and stuff, like where I feel more than anything, that's what's been squeezed out is any kind of personality, any possibility for a personality to even rise up, right? Like Dane could do it on, sheer talent. But there was somehow a path for him that it feels now to get on the WSL CT. Any kind of thing is going to be ground down. And look at I feel like the Mikey Wrights of the world, it's just manufactured. It's like a manufactured, rock and roll image in order for, consumers to buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem natural.
Yep.
Where I don't know how a natural personality is going to come on up, but maybe it's just talent. Maybe we don't see somebody who's a bit unhinged with the talent yet, or haven't for a while.
Yeah, that's an interesting example. The Dane Reynolds thing.
Because he's
so unique.
And he brought the same kind of in the water, you never knew what he was going to do, right? I mean, for sure he wasn't going to fight, but you kind of never knew what you were going to see.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel that way now. I feel I know exactly what I'm going to see from all of them.
Idolo provides a bit of that. Explosive.
But at this point, he's done so much. Like he just, in my mind, he just has a super high bar. But it's not, I just know, I don't ever think a weird, sometimes Dane would go back out and just do weird layback snaps and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he had sort of a almost Curran-esque thing where he could do so much, but you never quite knew what you were going to get.
Yeah.
Where Idolo, I feel I know what I'm going to get. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. But I know what it is.
It's going to be in the air.
Yeah.
Speaking of fascinating figures in surfing, Mickey Dora.
Yes.
The original Dora. Who did you interview and what'd you learn?
David Resnan, is that his name? Resnan. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Who wrote the Dora book, All for a Few Perfect Waves. Fascinating guy, David. Great great to chat. Knows so much about sort of surf history. Interviewed, I think he wrote over 1 million words for the All for a Few Perfect Waves Dora book, and cut it by a ton. Like he's written more about Dora than, he's even published by far. So the amount of interviews he did, the work he did, the real true journalistic work he did was fascinating to behold.
Did he know Dora?
No.
Okay.
He thinks Dora might have pushed him off a wave once at Topanga. But yeah, otherwise never knew Dora.
So he came up surfing at a time when Dora was king.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
so
wrote.
That was his relation.
Yep.
And what'd you learn about Dora?
He was just I think everybody sort of knows already, but he was just a complex figure, definitely as much a charlatan as he was anything. And, was likely, according to David, sort of always tricking himself too, right? Like he didn't even know what he was. He was just a real showman and it was always a show, and the show was for himself too. So everything was a performance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've talked to a number of people who knew him personally, and most of them they're we're left with an impression that was not favorable in the end.
He ripped off a lot of people.
As much as that type of a person, we love to have that personality in surfing.
Yep.
And you like to be around that type of a person, you really have to keep personal boundaries up.
Yeah. I think he was a sneaky guy.
Yeah. Mickey Munoz, the story that he left me with was he enjoyed a lot of the shenanigans and kind of like got a lot of kicks and thrills out of it. But they went to lunch one time. I think it was in Laguna, 50 years ago when Laguna was tiny and nothing. And there was like a mom and pop restaurant that everybody used to go to. And because Dora would come into money, large amounts of money, and then he'd have no money at times. But because he happened to have money at this time, the mom and pop who running the store that everybody used to know, the mom was feeding them graciously. And she would even at times be like, oh, if you can't afford to pay, pick it up next time. No big deal. Have dessert on the house, that sort of thing. Well, Dora said to Mickey Munoz and all the other guys that they were with, he's like, hey, I got the bill today. I'll take care of it. I'll meet you guys in the car. So everybody's like, okay, cool. So they go out to the car, and then Dora comes running out. He was going to ditch Dine and Dash and leave this lovely old couple hanging for the bill, right?
Yeah.
And the mom running the restaurant recognized what was happening. So she walked out to confront the kids. And rather than really confronting them, she goes, hey, you guys, I just wanted to let you know lunch is going to be on us today. We love having you here. And so she knew what he was trying to get away with. And she took the higher road and just thought,
sweet lady,
I'm going to go out there and teach these kids a lesson in humility and kindness.
How did Dora take that lesson?
Dora, I don't remember exactly. He did not argue or anything like that, but Mickey is what I remember. And Mickey Munoz is what I remember. And Mickey Munoz said that was a moment where he realized he had a change of heart about Dora.
Yeah.
He was like, oh man, this guy who we like to have around for these kicks and shenanigans, I now realize is actually doing a lot of harm.
Yeah, there's a point too far.
It's a point too far.
You can have a lot of fun, but there's a line you don't cross.
And Mickey Munoz said, I have to make a decision what side of the line I want to be on.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I realized I want to be on the side of that sweet old woman who's taking care of this community time and time again.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And so Dora look good.
Yeah, and then he basically cut off contact with Dora at that point. So.
Man, yeah, I mean that's Dora as I don't know, as a blank slate. I mean, it's what David said too, as a tabula rasa, where you can put what you want on this image of Dora, and if you want him to be a great surfer, if you want him to be a punk or an outlaw, whatever, you can paint him how you want. Yeah. And I think he did actually do all those things. Yeah. He was those things. He was complex, but he probably wasn't that nice.
Yeah.
Or that, not that you need to be nice, but that, yeah, I don't know, but I think he was gracious too. I think he wasn't always just stealing. I think he was giving too.
Yeah. I don't know this about him, but did drugs come up in that conversation at all? Was Dora a drug user?
I don't know. It didn't come up.
Okay.
No.
It seemed like that type of personality has a manic element to it that has highs and lows. Yep. And I think could often be attributed to. A couple of follow-ups from the last week or two. I was talking about the foil retribution in San Francisco. Yes. And one of the things I just kind of mentioned in passing was gosh, we need to publicly shame these people and, put their image up on social media and be like, hey, burn this guy anytime you see.
Yes.
A buddy of mine followed up in the DMs and he was like, dude, that's actually got legs. That's an interesting concept to extrapolate out and hold people accountable. There's, episodes of Black Mirror or whatever, where everybody has a social capital score where you walk into a coffee shop and they see that you don't pay your bill or whatever. And I can assess that real quickly. This is a meta universe, a Zuckerberg meta version of surfing where we can do this and act as gatekeepers.
The problem is I feel it devolves to Karenism way too quickly it should only be used once a year if warranted, something like this, right? Very little warrants. It can't be that you regularly drop in on people. It can't be that you sup in a crowded lineup. All that stuff is annoying, but that needs to be dealt with in the lineup when it's happening, right? Only the super crazy egregious should be public, I think.
So no Instagram account devoted to ousting and celebrating these things.
I don't think so. Okay. I just think it's a slippery slope to people tattling and people not dealing with stuff, like people getting a picture of bad behavior instead of dealing with that bad behavior themselves right then. Like
Totally.
pushing your personal responsibility onto the public, like saying, hey, I'm too afraid to do anything about this, but I know I can go, get the mob to sick on this person.
Fully agree. Terrible idea. Because, yeah, it really does cultivate that tattletale culture, which is the worst.
Where do we put tattletales? Up the mainsail. Yep.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
That's what the little savages know. That's where tattletales go. Yeah. They get busted for tattling way more than they do for doing bad stuff.
Do they really?
Oh, yeah. Somebody tattles, they're up the mainsail.
Good to know. Okay, perfect. Another DM came through. I don't have it in front of me, but he was asking, he was social media related. He was asking, when is it time to unfollow? Like he goes, I love Idolo and I want to watch any crazy surf maneuver he does, but I cannot stand to see another
workout.
Yeah. Gallery of 10 images of him flexing his six pack in front of the mirror.
I think unfollow early and often personally. Like there's no, Idolo he's not looking at, like you owe nothing to Idolo. Once it becomes boring to look at, unfollow and then just go check in. Like you can, it's not like Idolo's private. You can search up his account and there you have it. Okay. There, you can scroll through real quick and look at what surfing you want. Yeah. I'm a unfollow early and often, unless you're unfollowing for personal reasons, then don't be a sissy.
Okay. I feel like also they will, if they're worth following, they'll find their way back into your feed.
Sure.
Somebody also post an image of them doing some insane air, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'll check in with that again.
But if the point of your feed is entertainment, if you're no longer entertained, then why do you have it there?
I obviously have a couple of different Instagram accounts, a personal one and Surf Splendor one. And I think I was following Gabriel Medina on Surf Splendor, but not on my personal account for years and years and years. I did not miss him at all.
Yeah, no.
It was like, and then if he did something insane, I would still see it.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware of his personal life.
Yeah.
And that was perfectly fine.
Don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Sorry, Gabe.
But I do want to follow Kelly Slater's personal life for some reason. That's more compelling to me.
I can't.
I was grown. Well, yeah, because you were blocked,
right? But Kelly doesn't post. I mean, Kelly posts stories, but Kelly doesn't post Instagram. Like, if you're going to follow Kelly,
he's gotten away from the main post.
Yeah, better get into the stories.
Yeah, true. Commercial break. Come back with Barrel or Not.
Let's do it.
All right, Chaz, welcome back from commercial.
Great commercials.
Yeah. Shout out to Whoop, Athletic Greens.
I was one day without my Athletic Greens. I thought I was going to die. Next day, saw that box on the doorstep.
Sweet.
Wept tears of pure joy.
Sorry I mistimed that for you.
Back to peak health.
Did they send you 2 big packs?
They did.
Okay, cool. I never know what I'm going to get when I tell them to send us stuff. But yeah, they sent me 2 new packs and a new shaker too.
Yep, that's what I get.
I had the old shakers. So
new shaker's sleek.
Yeah. I like the rebrand.
AG1.
Yeah.
It's great.
The dark green instead of the dark blue.
Yep. I wear my sweatshirt. They sent a sweatshirt. Really? Totally. It's great. I almost wore it today.
I made the mistake of asking for a medium.
Oh, it's really small. I have a large and it's almost too small for me.
I'm right in between, dude.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me because I exclusively order clothing online if and when I order clothing, and I'm wrong 50% of the time.
Yeah.
I think I'm a medium. Turns out I should have got a large. The next time I order a large, should have got a medium.
Yeah. It's a tightrope.
It sucks. So I can't wear my AG sweater. Anyways, we've got a listener line call if you'd like. It's a follow-up from last week's
Let's do it.
Okay.
Chaz and David, this is Darren from Rhode Island, chiming in on the balance of family and surf, waves, kids, wives, all that stuff. So if you're asking to surf, you probably haven't given enough information from the beginning about surfing. You should have had the full disclosure that things will be missed, there'll be conflict, any non-surfer won't get it, but by the time you're married or having a child, your partner should know this. So no need to ask, just go surfing. But here on the East Coast, it's very clear when we have waves. Most of the time we don't. So you, in your downtime, need to handle your business. Take care of your kids. Do your chores. Your girls want to go on a weekend trip? Let them go. Let your wife do whatever she wants in the downtime. Do a good job. Handle it. Don't be a caveman. Don't be watching 12 hours of NFL football and then expect to go surfing the next day. So it's quite easy. It's just this little formula. It's a balancing act, and it can be done. I think I'm going on 10 years of not missing as well. 2 kids, age 9 and 7. And, yeah, no need to ask. Go for it. Handle your business. Do your job. Thanks.
Wise words. Wise words from Rhode Island.
So he's suggesting set a precedent
Yeah.
right out of the gate.
Don't ask. I mean, that's a great point. Don't ask, tell. Say, I'm going surfing.
Yeah. And then handle your business.
Do your work.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah. When there's no swell, go do overtime work.
Sure.
And then you're owed when the swell shows up.
Perfect.
Not even owed, but yeah, I agree.
Wisdom.
Darren's got it figured out.
Yep.
Another follow-up from Rhode Island. I don't know if you saw on Instagram after we talked about the Water Brothers, Sid Abruzzi's Water Brothers shop in Newport. A listener went and patronized the shop.
Great.
Took a photo with Sid out front.
Great.
Tagged us in it.
Ooh, I missed it.
Yeah. Said thanks for the recommendation. Loved the
Fantastic.
shop. Yeah.
It's the best shop
Really is.
outside of Album.
That's true. Thanks, Album Surfboards, for hosting us today. Album makes better boards.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. But in terms of like vibe surf
Core
retail,
shop.
I'm all about Sid.
Yeah.
Chaz, barrel or nah? Flipping off the wave.
Ooh, I'm going to say no barrel. No barrel. I'm going to go no barrel. It's okay to hit your board. I'm even going to say it's okay to flip off your board. It is not okay to flip off the wave.
I've not seen the flip off of the board
People should do that more.
while they're standing up, like
Yeah.
just down to it.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
You can flip off your shaper. You cannot flip off the
Rude.
wave. Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah. You can. If you feel like you were let down in your dims.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not flip off the wave? For me, it's aesthetic. It's never looked cool.
It never looks cool. And whatever happened there was purely the surfer's fault. I mean, sure, waves do weird things all the time, right?
Wave closes out. Does that warrant a flip off?
No, that's what the wave was born to do. That wave traveled all the way across thousands of miles of open ocean to close out,
Who are you?
to tell that wave what to do.
Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Mother Nature gifted you this thing. You should be grateful for any morsel,
No matter what you get, no matter what you taste.
right?
Yeah. Flip off your board, though. Your board is a man-made thing. Deserves your wrath from time to time.
How good was Jordy Smith missing the swing and the miss when he's trying to punch his board?
Oh, yeah. It was so good. Classic.
It's a classic image. The
Yeah.
still shot on Beach Grip
Yeah.
was there for a long time.
Yep. Very good. Swing and a miss.
It's so good. It just ever so slightly just flutters at the right moment or
Yep.
the wrong moment. It's
Yep.
like,
That's really good.
yeah, the flipping off of the wave thing, it's funny. Somebody submitted that. I've seen it my entire life. I may have even been inclined to do it once or twice, just out of like trying to show off to my friends that
Yeah.
that wasn't as cool as I thought.
Yeah.
It's the wave's fault.
I
or
would have
something.
done something awesome with this
Yeah.
dumb wave.
But
Yeah.
it's never once looked cool.
No.
It looks dumb.
It looks goofy. Like a moment of pure frustration always looks good. Like head thrown back, like agony.
Happens all the time.
Totally. And that's a great shot. I love that.
Yeah.
But the double barrel
Blame-
flip off.
Blaming the wave on it
Yeah.
or for it. Yeah.
Silly.
All right. We're going no barrel on flipping off a wave.
Keep them fingers in your holsters.
Barrel or nah? White sneakers.
Ooh, I'm going to go like, are we talking like the classics kind of, I guess could be any, right?
Well, this comes from a listener as well, but I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said
Is he
it.
talking about Air Force Ones? Like Nike, chunky Air Force Ones. What's in your mind?
In my mind was more like Adidas, like shiny white, bright Adidas.
Yeah.
But they could be
Air Force Ones.
bulkier, sporty shoes. Too.
Yep. What about a white van? White on white van.
Is that a
slip-on.
sneaker? That's not a sneaker.
What do you call a van?
Slip on.
Okay. What about a lace-up van?
Maybe sneaker.
Okay, but so white
Yeah, white-
sneakers is specifically.
It's a specific look is
Sure.
what he's he's getting at is like, or that's what I presumed he was getting at, which is, it's a casual outfit in that it's jeans and a t-shirt, but it's fancily done. You know, it's like the shoes are almost polished white. The jeans are $200 jeans or whatever cost jeans are. I have no idea.
I feel really reluctant to say no barrel because I feel like there is a great white sneaker that I'm not thinking of right now, and I'm gonna get fully caught out. Gonna get caught and think, oh, that's like the greatest sneaker ever. Why did I say no barrel? But the picture in my mind of like a Air Force One or a sneaker with a jean.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't like it. I don't like that look
either. Yeah, it's like I don't know how to define the look. It's dressing down. It's pretending to be dressing down when you're actually dressing up is what that look is.
Yeah.
And it's like guys are going to clubs like this now and stuff, and it's I'm not into it.
Too much uniform though. Like also like it's very like. Yeah.
I also feel like, I guess sneakers are meant to be worn and they should be worn. They should look like they're lived in.
Yeah.
And so the shiny white sneaker is almost like flies in the face of what it's supposed to do.
What's your favorite sneaker you've ever had?
I have no idea.
Really?
I don't think I have a favorite.
You've never had a favorite sneaker?
No.
Oh man, mine, the Nike Air Pressures. Such
With
classic.
the basketball on the?
No, that was the Reebok. The Nike had the big
right.
gray tumor out the back. I have a pair of them. I should wear them next week. I love them.
Gray tumor out the back. I can't even envision it.
It was white.
Did you pump it?
Yeah, from the back. It had a hand pump.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a white sneaker. So I'm gonna say barrel.
Are they shiny white? Are they like bright white? Do you keep them polished?
No, it's matte white, but they are very clean.
Okay.
I don't wear them often.
Okay.
Not nearly often enough.
Now that you mentioned that, though, I do have a very fond memory of getting the Reebok pump with the little basketball on the tongue when I was probably a young teenager.
Is that your favorite sneaker?
It's not my favorite, but I definitely have a positive association with it because it was expensive and it was like, hey, Mom, can I please get these? And she's like, no.
So expensive.
And then finally I talked her into them or something. And I was just like, I was so
jazzed.
Yeah, excited to wear them to school.
Yep.
You know, show them off.
I'm going to go barrel on white sneaker on my Nike Air Pressures alone.
Okay.
Going barrel.
Okay. I'm going no, but you'll wear them next. Well,
I'll wear them on Wednesday
because we have Thanksgiving next week. So we're probably going to record a day early. All right. Barrel or nah? Paintballing adults.
Adults who go paintballing. My inclination, again, like the white sneaker, is no barrel. But I could imagine if I had to go paintballing with like a group of, if for say we were at the Florida Surf Film Festival, Kelly Slater's there, Kevin's there, John's there, gang's all there, and they said, Warshaw's there, hey, let's go paintballing. I can imagine it being so fun to like hit Matt Warshaw in the face with a paintball that it would make me giggle for years.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a paintballing adult. I think that's an adult that went paintballing. I'm thinking paintballing adults are like guys who own the guns.
Who do it. Oh, then definitely no barrel.
They own the guns. They own the gear. They're probably on a team. They're going out every other weekend. They're practicing in their backyard.
No barrel.
Yeah.
No barrel. Any kind of niche thing like that. Like I'm going to say of the niche sports that are barrel, I'm going to say bowling. You have your ball, you have your shoes, you go bowling a lot, barrel. Darts, got your darts.
Wow.
Practice lot, your barrel. Pool, got your own cue stick, barrel. What are some other niches? Most of them are niche, in fact. I'm going to say if you have your own horseshoes to go out and horseshoe, barrel on you. But paintballing, something about the tech of it, something about having, like, it feels like laser tag, which laser tag was never cool, I don't think.
I think there's a number of things that I think are super fun to do once a year.
Yeah.
You know, go to a trampoline park or something like that, where it's like, if you find yourself in one, you will have the time of your life. But if you're buying the pass to where you can go all the time for one set fee and you're really, I think that's weird. There's better things to do with your time.
I will say you'll get to have your cake and eat it too. Once young Austin, once young Wolfgang gets old enough to go to do the tramp parks and stuff like that, because then you'll do it way more than, like, there was a gymnastics thing with a ropes by in Carlsbad with a rope swing into a foam pit as part of the thing. And adults can do it, right? Like there's no, hey, kids only thing. Like Hemingway would like to go there. I'd probably take her a couple times a week. I think I only did the rope swing into imagine how fun that sounds. A rope swing into a foam pit.
Yeah. How long until you get hurt? I will injure myself on the third go on that.
No, it's a foam pit. Like there's almost no way to get hurt.
Even still.
But you'll get to do this stuff with Austin, and I encourage you to take full advantage. Like I didn't do the rope swing into the foam pit as much as I should have.
Yeah.
And now I've lost my opportunity.
Right.
Like I can't do that anymore.
Well, forget about injury. How long at the trampoline park until you get exhausted?
Oh, quick.
30 seconds.
Quick.
You know what I mean?
Nothing exhausts like a trampoline.
It really does. And you forget that
Yeah.
until you find yourself in one and you're just like, oh,
I'm so tired.
we have 4 hours here. Sweet. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then 30 seconds of bouncing and you're just out of breath,
Yeah.
sweating through your shirt.
Take advantage. Like you have a window of like 4 to 8, sort of 4 years where you can really maximize go-karting, all that stuff.
Go-karting's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
See, but that's another one that I would equate with paintball where it's kind of like, I don't know, like it's a childlike thing. Or if you're into guns, if you're into guns too much and you were never in the military, it's weird.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, if you're really super into guns and hunting people down and then shooting them with paint, that's weird.
It's problematic.
Yeah. So maybe paintball though is specific in being weird because, but the dude who's like really into go-karting too, like there's those guys who go.
As an adult, that's weird.
Yeah, because you should be into your car.
Or yeah, go to the Porsche Center.
Yeah.
Like I know they don't have that everywhere, but yeah, like get in. I know there's like Datsun racers, like that. It doesn't have to be a Porsche. You can buy like a cheaper version of a car.
Go race.
And then, yeah, like go race. What are you doing on the kids course?
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird.
Exactly. It's weird to be, unless you have a kid, it's weird to be into kiddie things.
Yeah.
And paintball and go-karting are kiddie things, whereas bowling and horseshoes and whatnot are not. That's adult things.
True.
Yeah.
No kids are into horseshoes.
Yeah.
Right.
Or bowling or any thing. So if that's really what you're into, great.
Okay, we solved it.
If you're into kid stuff and you don't have a kid, but that's the thing, as I'm telling you, you could be paintball master for 4 years you could, and it'd still be okay. If
What's
you and
the
Austin,
age? When do you age out?
well, you're already aged out, but Austin gives you a second life, right?
Gotcha.
So by the time
I'll
he
be
can
smoking little kids at that.
totally, by the time he can pick up a paintball gun, but he ages out. I think you age out of paintball, literally a 12-year-old who's super into paintball. That's already too old.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I just figured out how we identify which ones are okay and which ones aren't. It's the concessions.
Yeah.
So at a bowling alley, they serve beer and peanuts.
That's true. Horseshoes, beer is, I think, mandatory.
For sure.
Yeah.
I guarantee you at a paintball thing, it's like Slurpees and funnel cake.
Yep.
And or churros.
You're exactly right. If they're not serving alcohol at the concessions,
and they might,
you're in a kid game.
They might sell it there in addition, but they sell way more Mountain Dew than they do beer.
What about as a sort of add-on, the person who's really into going, the adult sans kid who's really into going to Dave and Buster's, to entertainment eateries.
Dude, I had to go. I'd never been to one until like 2 or 3 years ago. And my brother, I think they were doing his daughter's birthday there, and she's like 18, you know. It was on a Saturday. I had a bunch of other places I rather would have been. So I was already kind of disgruntled going.
Yep.
And I had to go to the Irvine Spectrum, which is already a nightmare. And I walked into Dave & Buster's and I was like, what is this place?
Yep.
First of all, it's got to be 10,000 square feet.
Huge.
It's freaking huge.
Yep.
And it's like, I text, where are you guys? He's like, oh, okay, go right. Go past the hostess station. There's like this one room, it's like a billiard room, make a left there, and then you go past this other room, and then it's on the right, and it's like a side room. And I'm like, what? Going through these giant cavernous rooms.
Yeah. Filled with games. Adult video games.
Adults.
Yeah.
There was like 35-year-old men like sitting there playing these games together, getting tickets out of it. And then I cross a bar. The bar's as big as the Yard House.
Yep.
You know, and everybody's lined up. That's full of dudes that are all in their 30s and 40s watching sports games on a Saturday. I was so confused. It was like I went into a different universe.
So
the sun was shining outside.
Once again, they do serve alcohol, but it is a weird place for adults to be, except Hemingway and I had such fun at Dave & Buster's for many, many years. Haven't done it in a while.
Are you allowed to take kids there?
Heck yeah. Okay. It's the greatest. You like get a cocktail, toddle behind, like she goes and plays shooting games and whatnot. Like it's perfect. It is the perfect thing to do. And always, of course, like I've never gone at an appropriate time. You don't go at Saturday at, when everybody else is there. I would take her at like, Tuesday at 11 a.m. where it's just like, hey, what do you want to do? Oh, let's go to Dave. Let's go play some video games. Perfect.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I did not see children there.
Yeah, of course not.
My brother's daughter, who's 18, was the youngest person that I saw.
No, I mean, that's the weird thing about it is it's totally a place where no adult should go without a kid. I know it's not Chuck E. Cheese. I know it's geared.
I think there's 35-year-old dudes who are like, I'm doing my birthday party there with all my other 35-year-old buddies.
Bros. Then we're going to go paintball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Bad.
Crazy.
Yep.
I would have rather been at the beach. I would have rather been anywhere else,
Did you play games? Did you get your Game Pass? And
No, I did not. And then they had a buffet.
Yeah.
That was part of the party. And it was like the food was terrible.
Yeah.
It was
not
just
good.
Like the worst fried, terrible food.
Do you think we could get a Dave & Buster's sponsorship for the podcast?
If they're willing to support us, we'll talk favorably about them. But no, I don't.
If they were willing to support us, I would shoot the show. I would record the show from Dave & Buster's.
Nobody will be able to hear us because the background noise will drown us out. All right, Chaz. Well, hey, we've got Thanksgiving next week, so lots to be grateful for. We can cover
so
that.
much.
We can do a gratitude episode. Anybody who's around Florida this weekend, Florida Surf Film Festival.
I'm telling you, buy your tickets early online because I have seen people turned away at the gate with children.
Yep.
Who turns children away? But the Florida Surf Film Festival does and will because the fire code.
Limited capacity
Yep.
at the Atlantic Center for the Arts.
Yep.
And then Album Surfboards, of course. Albumsurf.com, I think is their website.
Go say hi to Kelly Slater, the Florida Surf Film Festival.
Definitely. Tell them we said hi.
Yeah, tell him Chaz Smith said, how you doing, Kelly?
Unblock me. All right, Chaz. Until next week.
Get barreled.